Hi, this is Dwayne. Welcome back to Dwayne's World. Last time we got the panel all wired up, which ended up being a rather tedious job, but it was well worth it and rewarding to get that all finished up. And now all I have left to do now electrically is to install the components in the airplane itself and connect the dots. And that's what we're going to be working on next time. Well, at the beginning of my videos, I have the introduction screen, and it says a Challenger build and other stuff. And this time is going to be, this video is going to be other stuff. And the reason being is that sometimes when you're in a project, you have to step back and take care of other things. And in this case, my shop needed to be insulated in the ceiling. I was getting a lot of moisture on the ground and on the workbench. And before I brought that panel down, with all that expensive avionics in it, I wanted to make sure that it was going to stay dry and not get moisture in there. And it was time. I needed to do that so I can work in the shop and take care of that. So I got the shop all insulated, and I'll walk you through how I got that done. And so this video is not going to be all that long, just a couple of short clips showing how I insulated it. And towards the end, I'm going to show you a couple of short clips of some flying I've done. Now, since over the winter, I've been working on my biennial flight review. Got with an instructor, and of course the winter time is not the best time to try to get weather for flying, but we managed to squeeze in some good weather, and I was able to get my third-class medical, and I was able to get my biennial flight review done. So now I'm current and legal to fly and take passengers up, which is really exciting. I haven't been able to do that since the early 90s, 1990, 91, somewhere in there. Too long, anyway. So it's great to be flying again. So I'll show you a couple of short clips of my flying at the end, just a couple 30-second clips. That's all I had. I wanted to concentrate on the flying and enjoying that. Next time I go flying, I'll strap on the camera somewhere in the back and be able to take a little bit longer videos of that. But I just wanted to grab a couple of quick videos of those flights, and so it's pretty exciting to me. So anyway, we'll get started, and I'll show you around the shop and what I got done. Well, I finished my panel wiring, and was able to do that indoors. It's winter time, and my shop is not insulated, and it's a metal building. And as you can see from these rows of water here, that's coming from not leaks, but from my metal terrarium. Anytime the temperature changes, water condenses on those metal strips and drips down. The whole underside is just dripping wet right now. So it's not doing much good to have a roof over my head if it still rains inside. So, I mean, it's getting on the project. You can see water on there. And so my workbench is wet, the floor gets wet, and it's okay in the summertime, but not so much in the winter time. So it's not so much for heat that I want to insulate, but just to keep the condensation out. So my plan is to go with some R7.8 2-inch foam insulation. I'm going to lay it up in these roof trusses here. Lengthwise, I'm just going to go, it's a 40-foot long shop, and so I can go end to end with the 8-footers this direction here. And then when I come to the angled portion here where it breaks, my intention is to cut it to length and wedge it between the trusses there. And so I should keep it, that'll provide an air gap above the insulation still, so that can all still do its thing with condensation, but it won't drip down in the shop anymore. And it will provide a little bit of heat retention, so that's going to be good. So before I proceed any more on the airplane, I got to get this insulated. Okay, we got updates. I put a dent in the pile. One whole stack is gone, almost two, and lots of scraps around. But I've got one whole row across. I just wanted to see how it was all going to fit together. Then I started working my way down the center section, and got all the way to the end. Don't fall over. And so now I just got some one little bit chunk there to do, and there's a thin strip you can kind of see off in the distance there. There's a 18-inch row or so that goes there, and then it's cutting the slanted pieces at the end. So I'll take you up top and show you what it looks like above the insulation and how I'm doing it. Well, as you can see, the shop's kind of a wreck right now with scraps everywhere, but this is what it looks like being 12 feet up in my shop. So this is the above the insulation now. It would have looked better to put this nice shiny silvery surface down. It's a reflective coating on there, but it actually acts to reflect heat, and in the summertime you want that because heat coming through would reflect that back and would help in the summertime to keep it from getting so hot in here. This is only R7.7, so it's not going to be a huge temperature barrier, but it will help some. And the biggest thing is just going to be making a watertight or an airtight envelope up here. Now you can kind of see daylight shining there, and that's not actually daylight, that's coming from the shop. But that eave goes all the way down. Show you this side actually, looking down there, just past the wall. Eave overhangs there. So as I put insulation on that bottom layer of the angle going down there, there's still going to be 2.5 inches there, 2.25 above that, where air can travel up there and then go out that roof vent there. And so this will all breathe up here and go. So as far as how I'm joining this all together, I'm using this peel and stick foil tape. And as I get a few pieces together, I get an intersection, I'll put 2 runs in here and just kind of tie these together on the top. It helps to hold it since I'm kind of overhanging in between sometimes. They don't actually line up on the trusses, so there's always going to be a joint kind of hanging out in space there. But it's only supporting its own styrofoam weight, so I'm not going to be crawling around up here. That would be a very short trip. So I tend to want to avoid that. So anyway, I'm taping what I can up here. Can't reach all the way across, it's just too dangerous. So I'm just getting the parts that I can just to kind of help hold it together. I am going to tape 100% underneath, so that's where the true vapor barrier is going to happen. This is just kind of helping with some reinforcing up here. But anyway, that's what it looks like up here. Well, here we are. We're all done. Take a little pan around here, shine a light in your eyes. But the shop ceiling anyway, is all insulated now. And I got it all taped up too. So there's some little spots around where the trusses verticals are, some little cracks around here and there that are going to show a little bit of air getting past there. But it's really going to do a lot to minimize any moisture getting down in this lower area here, and any rain or condensation that drops on the top of that. Of course, it's all waterproof. It'll just evaporate and convect up through the ridge vent there. So it should stay dry down here now, and I can safely put my panel and start wiring and doing other things that are, have a little more value and not worry about them getting damp or wet. So now I got a mess to clean up. I got junk everywhere. The shop's a wreck. So tonight, my job is to get this shop cleaned up and get it back to a workable workspace again, so I don't this messing with my head here. So I got to get this space cleaned up. So back to work. So this first clip is me going up by myself. I was looking at my logbook, and the last time that I had flown by myself was 1990, or it might even have been earlier than that, because once I got my pilot's license, if I was going to go flying, I typically wanted to take somebody with me. So I think it might have been actually in the 80s when I flew by myself for the last time. And so I wanted to be able to go up after I got done with my flight review and just fly by myself and make sure I didn't have some instructor, reminding me of this or that, and take off, do some maneuvers, land on my own. And I wanted to do that before I took any passengers up, just to make sure I was safe. And so I did that last Sunday, went up by myself, did a little flying, and I caught a little clip of that. So let's take a look. So the second clip was taken the next night. I wanted to take my mom flying, and she loves flying. She's one of the reasons I got into flying, or got interested in airplanes even as a young child. We lived down in Southworth when I was a child, up till age 7. And back then the trees weren't quite as tall, and if you looked just right through the trees, you could actually see across the water past Vashon towards the Boeing Field. And you could see jets taking off from Boeing Field, and my mom would, oh, look at that, and as a kid, you start, oh yeah, you start to take notice of things. And I remember my mom built a model of a Cessna 310. So I began to have an awareness of aviation from my mom. And she worked at the FBO that I worked at, pumping gas. She was a secretary there, so we knew the same flight instructors and the same pilots at the airport, and actually got to work together with my mom there at the airport. And so she likes flying. She loves flying and the whole aviation scene. And so when I got my pilot's license back in 1980, she was in the office, and I just had my check ride, and so she was the first person I saw that I could take flying, and so, come on, Mom, let's go flying. And so I took Mom up flying, and so she was my first passenger as a licensed pilot. And so it seemed only appropriate that the Bible says to honor your father and your mother. So my mom was there, and so I said, now that I was legal to fly again, I thought, who better to take up as my first passenger than my mom? So on Monday night, I took my mom up flying, and it was in the evening, the sun was setting, it was beautiful out, and here's a little clip of me flying with my mom. Well, I hope you liked the flying clips. It was beautiful weather, wasn't it? And it kind of reminds me of why I like to fly. There's just nothing like being up and around and seeing the mountains and the sunsets and the beautiful scenery that God created. And so next time when we get to my next video, we're going to start putting some components in the airplane. We'll mount the battery and the firewall, the fuel pump, and then mount the panel and start connecting all the dots of all those electrical components and get the ADS-B out antenna, the GPS position sensor, going to go up here. We'll get all that wired, so that's going to be kind of fun. Now, before I go, I wanted to kind of clear up any rumors that you might have thought, seeing my slick production here and how everything is so high quality. Dwayne, you must be using AI, right? No, and it shows. You can tell I'm not using any AI here. I'm just my own creativity messing around here. And I like the creative process. I like figuring things out and throwing a little fun things in here once in a while. I'm not trying to be some slick production. And, my video editing software, Filmora, has all these AI things that you can turn on to do this or that, or make this for you, make that for you. And sure, I could use that stuff, but I'd rather be just me creating stuff. And if you see what I throw up here, mistakes and stutters, that's just who I am. And I'm just trying to document my build, carry you along, take you along the process, and enjoy the ride a little bit, but not try to make some sort of slick production. I think with AI, there's kind of a more looming issue that I see happening, and that, for years we've already used Google to get information, and if we had a question or didn't know, then we would Google it and try to find the answer. And search engines are great tools to find information on. But as these AI platforms get to be more and more sophisticated and human-like in their response, it can be very easy for us to fall into the trap where it seems like these platforms can't be wrong. And ChatGPT and Grok, no matter what the platform might be, their answer is only as good as the source material. And if the web, for better or most times worse, is garbage in, garbage out. And so if it's checking 50 websites and 49 of them say this, well, then that must be the answer. Well, maybe not. There's a source of truth that we can lean on and know that it is never wrong, and it's always right, and that's the Bible, of course. And we should be careful that we aren't trusting these AI platforms to be, in a sense, our God, because they could very well become that in a sense, whereas we turn to them always for our answers. And there may be times, like I said, garbage in, garbage out, where an AI platform may give an answer that's not right or not true. And especially as society begins to become more and more corrupted, so will these platforms, as the information that they compile becomes corrupted as well. And so the Bible was created not by a man, but by around 40 authors, actually, over the course of over 1,500 years. And it's not a book, but 66 books. And the Bible tells us where we came from, how we got here, where we're at, our condition, and where we're going. And it tells us the past, and it tells us the present, and it tells us what's going to happen in the future. And it tells us, most importantly, how we are to be in relationship with God. And I think that's the most important thing. And many of these AI platforms are going to tell you something different about that. And I think we need to make sure that if there's a discrepancy between what an AI platform might say and what the Bible says, that we take the Bible, because we know that's truth. because it's proven itself to be true. It's never been wrong. And so, anyway, I hope that the Bible is your source of truth, because it never changes, whereas these platforms will change and evolve and become more corrupted over time. And so, use them as a search engine with a grain of salt. And just be careful of what you're trying, or what you're relying on for your ultimate truth. Anyway, next time, we'll see. Oh, one more thing. Since I did get this shop insulated, I did need a source of heat. And right there, I got myself a 30,000 watt, 10,000 watt, 30,000 BTU electric unit heater. I was going to go with just a propane salamander or something like that to bring in some heat to bring it up in the wintertime. But the trouble with those platforms, or those units, whether you use kerosene or propane, is that they put moisture in the air, and that's the whole point of me insulating in here, was to try to keep moisture out of it. And so having an electric unit heater will give me a source of heat where I don't have to worry about pumping more moisture in the air. So anyway, pretty excited about the heater and the insulation and being able to work in here and keep everything dry and protected. So anyway, we'll see you next time with actual airplane stuff. We'll see you on Dwayne's World.